You can present it in that way. And then the guy said that, I mean, this is wonderful. We are really interested because so far only Saint-Gobain is making this particular kind of glasses and selling in the market. They have the monopoly. We as an Indian manufacturer want to kill this monopoly in India to begin with, and then we will go abroad. Then he said that, I mean, how do you do the coating? So the scientist said, I have this 2 feet by 2 feet glass which I just dip in the bowl. And then I tested. So a hell lot of testing, the scientist has done. He has done his job very carefully and diligently. You name any test and the scientist has done on that job, on that glass. But the client said that I am going to coat this coating on 70 meter by 70 meter glass. Now you tell me what is the process, how to do it. What kind of bowl is required to dip it into this thing, and then how will I take out, and it will not work. What kind of coating I have right now is I have a curtain coating wherein on the conveyor belt the glasses flow and there is a flow of solution, and then that's how I do the coating on it. Can you do it using your solution? The scientists say my retirement is just 6 months away from now, I cannot do that. We lost that deal also. So using the word technology, I am talking about the complete solution. Yeah, next please. So where are the opportunities of building relationship with industry? I'm very sure that you all must be agreed with me when I will say that they are ready to build relationship with you the moment you talk about improving their profitability. They all are there to jump on that. How we can do that? The lab has to tell them that we can help you converting your capex into the opex. All industries, all companies, whether it is SME or corporates or MNCs, they hate the word capex. They don't want to put their money into the capex. And therefore, the moment you will tell them that instead of you hiring the manpower to develop this particular product, instead of you buying the huge machinery in order to execute this particular project, in order to avoid a situation wherein you will put up the entire infrastructure necessary to required to develop this particular product, you can give us 2-year assignment, and then after that you need not to incur any cost on daily basis. So by paying us for 6 months or 8 months or 1 year, we can brush aside the complete capex requirement as far as you are concerned, and the industry will like it because we have tested it and we have tested it successfully. They certainly like it. For example, Dr. Fani was talking about this R&D incentive which is available for the industry. If at all they will give any R&D project to an academic institutions like IIT or CSIR lab or any DAE lab or any central university, they get the 200% exemption. But the problem is how many of labs are aware about which particular form will have to be filled, where the director will have to sign, which particular clause the CA will have to use in order to ask for the exemption from the Department of Income Tax, where these forms are, who will fill them, who is aware about those sections. Nobody is aware, and therefore nobody offers this particular interesting stuff to the industry. So we need to work on the small things which are available. As far as policy is concerned, in many areas the provisions are available, but we need the people who actually understand them and utilize them at the ground situation. The third important aspect is system integration. As I have just talked about, that we need to integrate the system. There are 5 components which are required to develop a particular product, and those 5 components are available in India, but with 5 different labs. Who will do this job to integrate the system? There has to be somebody. The business development guy of a particular R&D lab will say that I can give you the system or the component which my lab has developed. But from where the other 4 components will come, I am not going to go after them and coordinate that particular job. That's a dirty business. It's really not glamorous. I am not going to be involved in it. We need the people in the R&D labs who can assist the industry to realize that using the same kind of infrastructure which you have already in place, what other products you can manufacture. How many scientists have this capability to do this job? We just say that this is your requirement, and whether or not we have this technology. If we have, we can offer you. If we do not have, it's fine. For example, we are offering you one particular technology, and because we have visited your factory, we have also seen that you have a vacuum chamber in place. because we have other two technologies which require the vacuum chamber, which is very costly affair, and because you already have that, why don't you use that? So in order to avoid the capex requirement, you can use our technology and come out with a separate project. Number two, for example, if you are selling product XYZ by using the same distribution and supply chain in the market, you are aware as a company to sell PQR products as well, but because you do not have the PQR products in your portfolio, you are not able to do that, because you as a company, you as a SME is good in selling the product, and because you have penetration in that particular segment, we are telling you that you can sell these PQR products as well by using the sale distribution channel and the supply chain mechanism. Do we have that kind of people who can understand the industry in such a manner and then suggest them and then guide them as to how they can utilize the public R&D? Very often than not, we come across with a situation wherein the managing director of a SME or a large company says that, my kid is sitting over here, he is in this meeting, but he is fed up with the business which I have been doing from last 50 years. He wants to do something else. Can you please suggest something to him? What kind of business he can start? I mean, that's a very, very good opportunity to start a relationship with the industry. We need to catch hold of those guys who are in their 50s and their kids are in 30s or 20s, and then who wants to do some other business and looking for opportunities, looking for new products, new processes, because they are fed up doing the same dirty karkhana business what his father has been doing. The another major opportunity is available with the is lying with the fact that how good we are as far as catching the capable industrialists are concerned. Where these industrialists are there. So, I mean, various people talk about that the industry is not coming forward, they are not good guys, they do not have deep pockets, they do not have very good intentions, and so on and so forth. I am saying that if we need not to work with all 100 companies which are there in the market. We need to work with only 5 or 10%, I mean, where these companies are. For example, how many labs do this exercise to find out in last 5 years how many companies have been venture funded? Let's take a data out of it and let's pitch our technologies to them, because they have been funded by the venture capitalists. They have the money to pay. They are looking for business opportunities. They are looking for expansions. They are in the process of hiring more and more people, and therefore they are the right guy to pitch our technologies and R&D capabilities to. Who are the prolific importers? How many labs undertake this exercise to cull out the critical data as to who is importing how much from where and with which specifications? If we have this data and according to that we can align our R&D offerings, I mean, that's wonderful. I mean, we are talking about the import substitution straight away. How many labs have this capacity and the intentions to undertake this particular exercise? Dr. Pani has interestingly talked about a species called distributor and the traders. It's a very, very interesting community to pitch our technologies to. Recently, we have done a major, about 3 crores deal with a company who the guy has recently floated, and before floating this particular company, he was just a trader for a MNC. So MNC was supplying him the product. The MNC is the US-based MNC, and the lab, I mean, Dr. Purushottam's earlier lab, so he must be aware about this particular deal which I am talking about. He was fed up dealing with the Indian arm of that MNC, who have been forcing health terms and conditions in order to supply the product which he was aware as to how to sell. So he was selling. He didn't have the product in hand. We have figured that out, and we somehow figured that out that that is having successfully convinced them to if labs concentrate on that, get long-term relationship with the industry. Available. Contracts are there. This is a Bangalore-based company which has been bidding for the defense contract for the optical lens as a product. And repeatedly they were beaten by the Chinese competitors. I understand that there could be another reasons why the Chinese guys were able to beat them up, but because they could figure out that why they were not given why they could not win the tender, because they do not have a specific coating which has to be there on the optical lenses as far as the defense specifications are concerned. Now that was the pain point, and the company was really disappointed. We could catch hold of him and then understand that because of this particular coating they do not have, and therefore they are losing all the contracts. We have gone back to our partner labs and interestingly found that the technology is available. The technology was available. That's a different story, that we still could not transfer that technology because of the very interesting story, because the technology was developed out of the 15 years efforts which the lab and the scientists have put in. And in those 15 years, about 6 scientists have worked on that project in order to develop that technology. By the time we approached the lab to transfer that technology to that particular company, 2 of them have got retired, and the lab could not figure out as to where they are, and therefore they were not aware as to how to distribute the incentives which will come from the industry. They decided not to transfer this technology. Okay. Interesting story, sir. And it took about 8 months to figure that out. Of course, the international clients, I mean, how many our labs actually run the very structured, aggressive marketing to build relationship with the international clients? I don't think so many are there. I mean, of course, NCL is one of them, IIT Kanpur might be another one, IICT is one of them, but I mean, if you're talking about 5,670 R&D institutions in India, and 40% of them are government funded, how many of them are doing this? I really have own reservations on it. Next, please. So as far as the models of building relationship with industry, a lot of models are available. The blue ones are the short term, the red ones probably are the long term. Few are missing, like the incubation centers. But I would say that until and unless the lab is offering more than 2 such offerings to the industry, it's not going to result into the long term relationship. So for example, what we need to do is, in order to build the long term relationship with a particular client, along with transferring a particular technology which is suiting a particular requirement of the client, we also need to pitch the testing services which can have the tenure of next 3 years or 5 years or 7 years, and that is the time when we will get the opportunity to do the upselling and the cross selling. I'll give you one very interesting example. Recently we have facilitated a technology transfer deal wherein a CSIR lab has come out with a technology to detect the milk adulteration. And by the time we did the deal and a few prototypes and all such things were happening, the lab had also come out with the tabletop model to detect the adulteration in the juices. And the guy has taken that technology as well. So until and unless we do not involve with the client over a substantial period of time, we will not be getting enough opportunity to sell many more things to him. So therefore I am saying that we need to pitch, or we need to offer at least more than 2 such offerings to the client when we are talking about the long-term relationships. Each model has its own advantages and disadvantages. Because of the time constraint, I am not going into all of them, but because the word technology transfer is there, let me deal with this particular model in detail. Next, please. So when it comes to the technology transfer, you have broadly 3 phases: the pre-agreement, the agreement, or I would say the draconian agreement, and the post-agreement. What the lab has to do in the pre-agreement era is, they will have to define the TRL. I mean, earlier, somebody was talking about the technology readiness level. Sometimes the scientists feel that, like every mother, they feel that my baby is the most beautiful in the world. And they think that the kind of claims which I have are undisputed and nobody can contest them. But we really need to be categorical as far as defining the technology readiness level is concerned. At which scale this particular technology is, and so on and so forth. Defining performance, and when we are talking about defining performance, we are also talking about defining the limitations. We need to be very categorical, very clear as to my technology can do this only and cannot do this only. At many occasions, the scientists and the researchers or the professors are afraid to share this information with the potential clients, because they think that if at all they will share this thing, the client will run away. The client will anyhow run away, because sooner or later he will come to know about it. You can make somebody fool only once, not every time. So it is very important to define the performance as well as the limitations. The test results need to be ready, need to be handy, and will have to be shared with the client. The timing of sharing such test results, the confidentiality aspect can be dealt with, but the test results will have to be ready before the technology will be pitched to somebody else. And I'm not talking about the fact that only the higher technology readiness level technologies can only be sold or can only be pitched. There are various companies, there are MNCs, there are startups who are more interested in the early stage technology rather than the later stage technology, because they can accordingly direct the pathway of the technology as per their expectation or as per the market requirement. The precise infrastructure requirement, in a recent case, the scientist has given the infrastructure requirement to the client before signing the technology transfer agreement as that it will not exceed 50 lakhs rupees by any chance. So 50 lakhs of rupees will be required from your side in order to put everything in place if at all you want to implement this technology. And when the technology transfer agreement was signed and the client has gone to the vendors and got the quotations, he figured out that it is crossing 1 CR. Now, of course, that has resulted in the big time disappointment. So in order to avoid that, the precise infrastructure requirement will have to be calculated. I also understand that it is not possible for the scientific community to come out with the very precise bill of material. It's not possible because people do not give them the precise numbers. They do not give them the quotations. They say that it varies as and when you will achieve the economies of scale and so on and so forth. But at whatever extent it is possible, it has to be done. The economics will have to be calculated as to, in order to manufacture 2 chairs in a day, what it will cost. That kind of calculations will have to be done. And not every scientist or many scientists are equipped to do that. The technology transfer offices will have to build their capacities and skills in order to do this particular exercise. Of course, the lab can put certain amount of disclaimers and assumptions that under these disclaimers and assumptions we are telling you these are the economics, but this is how it is. The moment you will change the numbers here in the disclaimer and the assumption column, the final number will also get changed, and industry understand that. The client qualification, as I just talked about, it's very, very important as to on what basis we are going to recruit the client. We always use the word identification of client or scouting of client. As a lab, we should recruit the client on our terms and conditions, because we are talking about the long-term relationship. We are talking about the hardcore money which should come into the lab, and therefore we should be in a position to recruit the client. And let me tell you how this word is very, very important, because if you are talking with 10 different people about the same technology, my body language is completely different versus a situation wherein I am talking with a company about a technology. I will almost be ending up begging to him, because you are the only one who can take this technology, and therefore please take it. Versus if I have 10 different alternatives in my hand, my entire body language will be different. So it's all about recruiting multiple clients for the same technology. That gives humongous confidence and negotiation power. How many of technology transfer officers or the scientists have the capabilities to come out with the marketing collateral in order to pitch the technologies to, for example, refineries in Saudi Arabia, or to Reliance's and then Bharat Petroleum or IOC? The kind of marketing collateral is required, which will fetch industry's requirement, is absolutely different. Some of you, if at all you will get this opportunity, you will see the kind of stuff Magesh has prepared in NCL. That kind of marketing collateral is required, and NCL is one of the few labs which has been able to do that. If you do not have a robust, attractive, nicely packaged marketing collateral in hand, how will you pitch the technology to the potential clients? If at all, I'm assuming a situation wherein you are able to identify the potential clients, but you do not have anything to pitch. So we need to have the necessary skills and the capabilities within the R&D labs to come out with the right kind of marketing collaterals. The term sheets, the proposals, the agreements. I have seen that the 20 years the technology transfer agreement templates is still being used. They just change the terms and conditions here and there and is ready, and they supply it to the client. That kind of approach should be avoided. The agreement, in many cases, it's really draconian. So we need to talk about the agreement, the post-agreement era. I mean, one thing all the laboratories have to understand, that signing off a contract or signing of technology transfer agreement is just a beginning. The hell lot of work will start thereafter. The process, I mean, we all know that industry has its own timelines. I mean, from first discussion to proposal to contract, how much time the lab is taking, the industry is keeping very sharp eye on it, and therefore we need to be very, very critical about it. Next, please. So I will skip some of the points because I mean the time is running short. I also wanted to share with you some of the case studies wherein we could innovatively structure the technology transfer deals, and along with these anecdotes and case studies, the point which I wanted to make was, it is really very imperative to come out with the innovative technologies, but at the same time it is equally important to structure the deal innovatively as well, because if we do not have the capability to innovatively structure the technology transfer deal, the innovative technology per se will be lying on the shelf of the R&D lab. So I will skip these anecdotes, and if at all some of you are interested, I mean I can talk offline on that. Next please, next please, next please. The another model about which I wanted to talk about is the equity based arrangement. So one model of building long-term relationship with academic labs or R&D institutions is technology transfer. The another model is the equity based arrangement. The problem is, do we have such mechanism in India to acquire equity for giving a technology to a company? Can we hold the equity in the company? Can you please click on the word yes? I wanted to show you this particular